Hi, this is our daily tarot. We have 6 cards today, and they're kind of interesting. Not that I don't say that all the time, but I always think the tarot that comes out every day is interesting. So I always lay out all 78 cards, and then I lightly kind of draw my hands over them and see whichever ones come out. So the first 2 draws that I did, 2 cards came out together, like one came out and then one kind of flew out behind it. So I'm reading those cards together. Our opening energies of the day are the 3 of Cups along with the 10 of Wands. Our challenge today comes in as the 6 of Cups with the 8 of Wands. We have the way that we're going to get through the challenge coming in as the Moon card, which is a major arcana. It speaks to some kind of lesson that we don't get to avoid. It's right in our face. And then the overall outcome for the day is the 9 of Pentacles. So these opening energies are rather interesting because we have one energy that has kind of like this bliss energy to it, and this other energy paired along with it, that's this energy of overwhelm or being overburdened by a lot of tasks and a lot of things to do. So there's a few different ways that it can kind of show up today. In one way, it can show up as like we're setting this reward for ourselves. Like if we get done with all of these things, and we need to get done with all of these things before we can actually, go have fun with our friends or partners or, whatever experience we're going to enjoy. Likely that's coming in this weekend. And yet we feel like we really have a lot to do before we can actually relax to get there. The opposite energy, or the alternative energy that this could be today, is this energy of kind of going into the day as a bit of a people pleaser. And so we're just willing to take more on our plate and put more on our back as far as things that we have to work with in order to please and appease other people. So these are these 2 energies that we're watching out for today as we approach the weekend. Now, it is also kind of interesting considering that we have Mars today in conjunction with the Sun, which is this energy of like really pushing things forward. And so we can feel a lot of motivation to kind of move things forward that we haven't felt like have been able to be progressed. Now, the challenge that's coming in today is interesting because it also came in as a pair, as the 8 of Wands along with the 6 of Cups. And the 6 of Cups is this energy of like our emotional wish come true, like something we've always wanted, something we've always wished for, and it's like finally starting to get a picture of it. And yet it's paired with this other card, which is the 8 of Wands, which is speaking to all of these things being up in the air, all of these things kind of being unknown. And this is a challenge today because we want stability, we want certainty, we want something to be solid and secure. And yet when it's not, it can make us feel kind of uneasy emotionally, especially if it involves matters of the heart. Now, the way that we're going to get through the challenge is the Moon. This is so interesting because we have the Sun in Pisces, the Moon in Pisces, because we just had a new moon yesterday, which means that the Sun and the Moon were at the exact same or within a couple of degrees of each other in our star system. So we don't get to see the reflection of the moon or the reflection of the sun on the moon because they're in the same space in the sky. And the moon really is just a reflection of the sun. So when it's full, it's on the opposite side of the zodiac. But when it's new, it's in the same sign as the zodiac. So this card represents Pisces. And we have the Sun in Pisces, we have the Moon in Pisces, and we also have Jupiter in Pisces and Neptune in Pisces. So we have this stellium, or a grouping of planets in the same zodiac sign, which means we have a lot of energy in that area of our chart, wherever Pisces is in your natal chart. And even if you have a sun sign and a rising sign and all your planets and other signs that are other than Pisces, you still have Pisces in your natal chart because we each have every single slice of the pie of the zodiac system of the zodiac signs in our natal chart. And so it sits somewhere in that circular kind of diagram for you, and it highlights an area of your life that you're working with right now because each slice of the pie depending on whether it's your first house, second house, third house, it all represents a different area of your life. So it's highlighting that area because we have this movement of all of these planets in that area of the sky. Pretty interesting stuff. We also just went through this new moon, and so we're initiating new beginnings. And so it's, what is so cool about this card is that Pisces is the last sign of the zodiac system before it goes into Aries. And so it has this dissolving quality to it, which means that our lower aspects of ourselves, or the parts of our nature that aren't actually serving where we're going to in life, are dissolving and dropping away so that we can, you know, reignite that fire within us and move forward and initiate the Aries part of our chart. So we're in this place of kind of shedding skin and like growing into a new phase of our life. And I love that this card came in, you guys, because 2 days ago, I want to say, maybe 3 days ago, I was out walking by the river. I live up in the mountains, and I was out walking by a river near my house. And because it was, you know, the beginning of March, it might have been the last day of February, all of the river is starting to, like the ice that covered the river is starting to thaw. And I saw one of these little guys. I saw a little crustacean creature, a little crawdad or crayfish that was actually crawling around underneath the ice. And I love when the images of tarot pop up into my life because they enrich the experience of the card so much. Because if we consider that, if we consider all of the things that we've been kind of certain about emotionally in regard to our experience, it becomes like ice, right? It has sharp edges, and it is like a sheet that we have of certainty, and we're not gonna, it's unmoving, right? But of course we look across the globe and we see that ice caps melt and ice melts throughout the year. And so we're in this place of kind of going through a new phase with our emotions. And this energy of this card is all about like leaving the mundane to like step into that spiritual aspect of ourself. And if we consider like some of the imagery in this card with these 2 towers and this little scarab that's going down this golden path, and one domesticated dog and one wild wolf, and they're both howling at the moon. This is this energy of having to go through these towers and drop away what is no longer useful for us so that we can continue our path up the mountain. And so we're in this phase right now where like the new moon is showing us where we really want to put our energy and our effort in the coming year, because we're about to go into Aries, and that's like the true astrological new year, because it's when spring begins, and that's like when this astrology year starts, is in Aries, in that cardinal fire energy. And so we're getting ready to like have our own seeds of this year, you know, break ground. And so what energy are we trying to put into that, and what do we need to drop away? It's like having to drop away the shell so we can grow into this different evolution of self. As esoteric as that may seem, this is kind of what we're going through right now. And we're especially going through it because we have this interesting transit that's happening with Neptune and Jupiter, both in the same sign, which like does not happen, will never happen again in the rest of our lives. So we're in this opening space, which is really powerful for us all. And it's really showing us kind of what we need to drop away so that we have the energy to move forward into the next step. And the overall outcome that we have for today is the 9 of Pentacles. And 9s are all about completion around something, completion around some kind of project, or completion around some kind of belief system. You know, it's like we forget that like when it's a new moon, we're in a time of darkness. You know, like yesterday, my friend and I were out hiking, and we had to make sure we got back in time because we didn't have headlamps, and we had no reflection of the moon. So we had to race back to where we live, which was really interesting because my friend was like, hey, you know, you should go outside this morning and see that the moon is with Venus and Mars. And I was like, you're not going to see the moon with Venus and Mars because it's a new moon. But that, you know, was a conversation that we had last night on our walk, and why we had to race back, because we weren't going to see any reflection of the moon, and we wouldn't have any light unless we ourselves provided it by way of headlamp or flashlight or phone flashlight or something. So we're in this space where we're kind of going through this, you know, quite literally this tower space, and it's like we're shedding skin so we can grow into our next step, and ultimately like put effort to some greater project that we are going to be completing, and which will create some kind of space of leisure and rest in our lives. So to me, that's pretty exciting. Even though our challenge today could feel like, you know, our feet aren't on the ground based on, you know, the combination of these two cards. So anchor yourself, you know, and know that you have what it takes to go on this journey. Otherwise, you wouldn't be here. I send you a good wish and so much love today. If you would like to schedule a reading, please reach out to me. I usually, or not usually, whenever I sit with people, rather than doing the 4-card spread, I do a 12-card spread. So we actually look at your natal chart, or the cards as a natal chart, and I also look at your natal chart and what transits are coming up for you. So if you're interested in doing that, reach out to me and we'll schedule some time. I am going to be going to the Front Range this weekend, so if you'd like to do an in-person reading, I'll be available for that, and we can just plan to sync up somewhere along the weekend. I do have a couple of other appointments that are happening by way of like gardening consultings and things like that, but we'll figure out a way to get you in there and at least get a hug. I wish you well, and I hope you have a beautiful day. Bye for now.